Hey, Em. Good morning. It's Miguel. It is a distinct pleasure for me to be here and speak to you a little bit this morning. Today is the 7th of November, 2018. And it's a Wednesday. Yesterday was Tuesday, and that was a voting day for people. It was election day. And I really haven't heard that much about what the polls are saying in the world of politics. But I guess we'll see. We'll see what's happening. On the subject of politics, you might be becoming aware of this, what's being described as a highly partisan political environment. And I guess I just wanted to touch on that for a moment. I was doing a little bit of thinking about that yesterday, about how people seem to be sort of collecting into their tribes, so to speak. And, I was thinking that that might have something to do with sort of sometimes what is the social isolation that people are feeling in today's social environments. I'm noticing that people are tending to pull away from social groups and sort of withdraw into their own home environments where they can, you know, they're getting a lot of satisfaction, in other words, from staying at home and being more sort of solitary. They're spending more time surfing the internet and going to work and taking care of things that matter to them, and going to see movies and streaming internet video, and people are taking back their power, right? And people are recognizing that they don't necessarily have to reach out as much as they needed, as much as they did in the past to get their needs met. And this is sort of a shift in society. Before, society was really social and outgoing, and people were connecting with one another in clubs and in groups. But now people are sort of withdrawing into their homes more. At least that's the sense that I'm getting. And I think what's happening, at least in the political world right now, with all the tribalism, is that people are I'm guessing what's happening is that they're just sort of withdrawing into this. It's sort of a need for belonging that's happening. They're sort of feeling like they're rooting for a sports team or something like that. It's where people are finding belonging, which is great. There have been different, in the past, people have found belonging in things like religion. And now they're finding belonging in things like politics, which I think is probably a step in the right direction. And also, people are caring for themselves more, I think, where they are becoming a lot more skeptical about romantic relationships and whether those relationships serve them. Again, I think that's really healthy thinking. So I'm actually quite enthusiastic about the direction people are moving, though it's having some interesting effects. It's having interesting effects socially, and that people are sort of leaving the commons, so to speak, and drawing into their private residences. And also, politics is becoming a little more raucous, because people are finding belonging in sort of political tribes. And, that also, I think, is pretty good. It's too bad that what's happening is that division seems to be the sort of the trend of the day. But I think that eventually that's going to settle down a little bit as people begin to get more sort of intelligent and learned about what it means to hold political debates, I think the standards are going to get higher. I think the standards are already getting higher for when it comes to political debate. And so I'm really pleased to see that. I know it appears that the opposite is the case, but I think what's happening is that people are just finding out what kind of political discourse they like to watch and what kind of political discourse they like to participate in. And it's a little rough going right now, but I think it's going to get better. And I think we're going to become a lot more civil in terms of our political discourse. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, since today's the 7th, I figured I'd start with our session relating to peaceful living. And it's November 7th, and so I'll read the quotation for the day. The quotation is by Mackenzie Jordan, and it reads, "Pay now or pay a lot more later." I wonder what Mary Mackenzie has to say about this. Her comments begin with the subtitle, "Deal with it now." I had a friend once who chewed and popped her gum with gusto. When she had gum in her mouth, I was annoyed. It didn't matter whether we were at home, watching a movie, or at a concert or in a church. Her gum chewing grated on me. Unlike other parts of our relationship, though, I decided not to express my feelings about her gum chewing habits. After all, it wasn't such a big deal, right? Perhaps not at first, but I started to become obsessed with her chewing. I thought about it a lot when we were together. I wondered how strong her jaw muscles were and whether it was actually bad for her teeth, or if her habit strengthened them. Sometimes I tried to control her chewing. Sometimes I tried to control her chewing. If I got a stick of gum for myself, I'd sneak it so she wouldn't see and ask for a piece. If she was chewing gum, I couldn't pay attention to anything. I didn't enjoy the concerts or movies we attended, and I had a hard time concentrating on our conversations. This went on for 2 years. I was starting to think I simply couldn't be her friend anymore. Then one evening, the two of us went to a movie with someone else. My friend popped a stick of gum into her mouth, and in no time at all was ferociously chewing. Our other friend leaned over to her side and said, I'm a little distracted by your gum chewing. Would you mind chewing quietly or removing the gum from your mouth? My friend said, sure. I'd spent 2 years being offended by her chewing, and I had almost ended our friendship, and all I had to do was ask her to stop. I now see how things can be simple in the beginning but become charged and painful if we don't deal with them. So the thought of the day is, make a commitment to speak your truth today with a loving heart. Okay, that's Mary. I think it's funny that in these pages of this book, there is a lot of Mary Mackenzie complaining. She does a lot of complaining. She complains about the past. She complains about her friends. I just want to bring that to your awareness, that really this book is just a huge complaint. And it's also about broad brushing this idea about how NVC makes everything better. And, look, I recognize that. And, I'm not necessarily reading this book to advocate Mary Mackenzie's philosophies or viewpoints at all. But I do think they're kind of interesting and they might trigger conversation. So anyway, until we find a better book, we'll continue with peaceful living. That's what I got to do. I think I got to find a book that I resonate a little bit more with. Now, I appreciate what Mary Mackenzie has to say about NVC and needs and feelings. I think it's important, but her opinions diverge a little bit from mine regarding, issues related to mental health and things like that and what it constitutes. Anyway, so Let's move on to the next segment, and it has to do with Christmas, right? So I've been excited lately about Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's November 7th. In fact, already I'm going to a Christmas dinner. Is it next weekend? I think it's next weekend. And there might be another Christmas dinner I might be going to the following weekend. And so I'm not Christmas, I mean Thanksgiving dinner. And so I'm really excited to go. And so I'm really enjoying this holiday. In my car, I'm listening to Christmas music almost every day. I've got Amy Grant in my CD player, and man, I love her voice. She is such a wonderful singer, and she's got wonderful medley of Christmas songs that she sings. And her voice is just so delightful to listen to. And anyway, I'm a big fan of Amy Grant, and I think I even bought when I was a kid an Amy Grant CD. So I'm enjoying that and listening to Christmas carols nearly every day. And the other day, I checked out a book from the Allen Hancock College Library called Hark, a Christmas Sampler. And we've been discussing lately Christmas animals, Christmas plants, the origin of the Christmas tree, the first Christmas tree, and a lot of things relating to Christmas, the tradition, the legends and the holidays and the tradition. So today I wanted to cover Christmas food. Yes. There's so many different types of subjects related to Christmas. All right, so let's go through Christmas food, and what that means is I'm going to read a passage from this book, and let's see what foods it's addressing today. Wild boar. Okay. What's kind of funny is that I had no idea that wild boar, in the least, was related to Christmas at all. This book is like a learning bonanza. I'm learning so much about Christmas I had no idea about. So here we go. Wild boar. Apparently, it's funny. Earlier we talked about bees and how bees are related to Christmas, and it's like, what? But now we're talking about wild boar. Here we go. Wild boar. Now, what wild boar is it's a type of pig, I think, that people hunt. And I myself am not that sure what boar is. Hey, Google, what is a boar?
According to Wikipedia, the wild boar, also known as the wild swine, Eurasian wild pig, or simply wild pig, is a suid native to much of Eurasia, North Africa, and the Greater Sunda Islands.
So wild boar was a sacred solstice meat. A sacred solstice meat. Long before Christmas was celebrated. The ancient Norse ate it at their winter festivals. They believed that the gods who lived in Valhalla ate the sun boar every night, but that he grew whole again each morning. When Henry VIII was King of England, he made wild boar the official Christmas dish. The chief cook would bring in the boar's head on a great gold platter draped with rosemary and laurel. Its gaping mouth held a lemon, the symbol of plenty. Behind the cook came the rest of the servants, all singing. One man was chosen to carve the boar, and he was said to be a person of outstanding virtue and courage. What? Wow. Amazing. Amazing. So there's another passage here over here. It talks about something else called wassail. Hey Google, what is wassail?
According to Wikipedia, wassail is a beverage of hot mulled cider, drunk traditionally as an integral part of wassailing, a medieval Christmastide English drinking ritual intended to ensure a good cider apple harvest the following year.
Hey, wow, wassail. Okay, I've heard of wassail, but I didn't know that it was hot apple cider. Wassail is a drink, but the word comes from the time in England when the Saxon lords and ladies cried out, "Wassail," meaning be of good health. So it became the custom in England to drink a toast of wassail, or health, from a great punch bowl filled with hot ale spiced with nutmeg, cloves, and ginger. Often roasted apples were added to the punch as well as eggs and cream. Soon it became popular for carolers to go from house to house singing. At each stop, they were treated to another cup of wassail. Some farmers began bringing wassail bowls into the barnyard to toast the health of their cattle, bees, fruit trees, and fields. Fascinating. This is just amazing stuff. So it looks like wassail is a bowl filled with hot ale, and I guess ale is a kind of beer, pale ale, spiced with nutmeg, cloves, and ginger. Often roasted apples were added to the punch, as well as eggs and cream. The idea of roasted apples sounds really good to me right now. Oh, yeah. Okay, Google, put apples on the shopping list.
Okay, I've added apples to your shopping list.
We're gonna eat some roasted apples. Okay, so fascinating. I want to have some hot cider. Hey Google, put hot cider on the shopping list.
Okay, I've added hot cider to your shopping list.
Okay, so we're gonna go apple crazy in this November and December, and we're gonna try to make ourselves some wassail without the ale. I don't drink alcohol, and I don't eat meat. So eating a wild boar would not be something I would do. I try to eat vegan myself. Wow, fascinating. It's really interesting to see all of these traditions relating to eating the wild boar. Apparently, it was so good. Now I remember when I used to eat meat, I would love pork. Pork is such a wonderfully flavorful meat, and even today I can reminisce about how enjoyable eating pork was. And I can definitely agree with Henry VIII, the King of England, saying that it's definitely an official ought to be an official Christmas dish. It is so good. And I think it was interesting how the person who cut the wild boar was a person of outstanding virtue and courage. So, what an honor to be, in the presence of your king and cut the wild boar. Wow, that does sound pretty amazing. Sounds like just an amazing celebration. So fun. And this wassail sounds like pretty amazing stuff. So wassail means be of good health, right? Be of good health. Yeah, so it was about appreciating the health that we have, and sort of looking forward to wishing health amongst the cattle and the bees, the fruit trees, and the fields. Health is like this substantive thing that's so valuable, and it's been valuable through the centuries. And these holidays celebrate good health. They celebrate abundance, right, through feasts, and they celebrate virtue, right, courage and virtue, bravery, perhaps. So it's kind of neat. I like thinking about these holidays that sort of basically emphasize the good in people, right? They're the good things in life, right? The things that taste good and are flavorful, combined with virtues and courage and health. And I can see why celebrations are so popular. It's really about gratitude, right? It's a celebration of everything that we find that we're grateful for. And wow, that sounds good. And you know what? When I listen to Amy Grant's music, I do feel celebratory. Her voice just rings true, and I'm just really praising her ability to sing, and I'm really sort of touched by the words in the Christmas carols. I'm loving this idea of snow falling in the Maine, on the main street, and snow is glistening. And these images, this imagery is just so vivid. And when I contemplate these images, I just feel good, you know? Yeah. So, it makes perfect sense to me why holidays should be such a wonderful time. It's because the imagery is so celebratory, and how it honors things that we're grateful for. Not only our virtues, but our health as well. And maybe even our wealth. Not just our health, but our wealth too. So, anyway, you know, I'm guessing that is one of the more powerful aspects of holidays that sort of drives holidays and their popularity. It is the imagery. There's something really motivating about a positive imagery. Um, you know, our minds, our brains really operate visually. In a way, our brains function on the processing of visual images. I mean, look at, for example, where our occipital lobe, it has our visual cortex. It's so large, and also our vision is so much a part of our lives. For me, who I am and what I am, really, and how I function in this world is largely dependent on the things that I see. Our eyes are so valuable, and it's important to maintain the health of our eyes. In fact, I have a friend who just had a retinal detachment. That means her retinas were peeling from behind her eyeballs. And so she had to have surgery, eye surgery, where surgeons go in within the eyeball and perform surgery to reattach the retina. An amazing, miraculous surgery, and I've heard only good things about her health afterwards. I think she's still recovering from that retinal detachment surgery. And, you know, vision is so important. It's really critical to human beings. Now, that's not to say that you can't be happy and live a perfectly fine life without vision, because you can. I also have another friend who teaches people who are visually disabled. They have visual acuity problems. And she teaches them to help them be more independent. And she teaches down in Santa Barbara. It's just sort of, it really just echoes this idea of how valuable vision is, and how at least critical it is to people who, for the mental functioning of the mind. I feel that way too. Let's move on. Oh, I was going to talk about something else. Yeah. So you're a freshman in high school now, Emily. I want you to I'd like you to recognize how, when I was about your age, I think I was a freshman or sophomore in high school, I got my eyes checked at the optometrist and found that my vision was pretty blurry, and afterwards I ended up getting glasses. And I just wanted to let you know about this, just from a genetic standpoint, that perhaps maybe it would be a good idea for you to go to the optometrist and get your eyes checked. Make sure that you're seeing clearly. Now would be a fine time to do it. I don't know when your mom Sheila got her eyeglasses, but I got mine when I was just a few years into high school, and it was valuable. I appreciated the adjustment. In fact, today I still wear glasses, and I wear contacts most of the time. In fact, right now I'm wearing contacts. Your mom, I remember we saved up and we got her LASIK surgery many years ago. So I wonder how your mom's vision is doing, actually. I'm sure it's almost perfect. But she may be having some presbyopia, which means that she's having trouble seeing with her close-up vision. That's just a guess. That's because presbyopia happens to everyone who ages. The aging eye, it's sort of inevitable that some people have some close-up vision problems. Okay, so anyway, that was just a reminder to get your eyes checked. All right, so the next segment is the Kindle. And the Kindle's got some questions, and I answer these questions in the hope that you can learn something about me and get to know me a little bit better. So the next question was question number 252. Did you ever believe in Santa? No, I don't think I did. I think I answered this question yesterday. No, I don't think I really ever did. And that was because I think my parents broke it to me pretty early about how Santa wasn't real. I can't remember a time when I did believe in Santa. So next question 253. When did you stop believing? Oh, like I just mentioned, I don't think I even recollect not believing. I don't think I ever did believe in it. Question number 254. Do you ever wish some fictitious things were real? All the time. All the time, girl. I don't know if this is the same thing with you, but I would tell you, I would love to have superpowers. I would love to have fictitious things. I'd love to have magical powers like Harry Potter. I'd love to have, I wish like Star Trek space travel and interstellar travel was true. So yeah, all the time I wish for fictional things to be true. Question number 255, are you creative? And my answer to that question is yes. I'm definitely creative. Oh, in fact, pretty much a lot of members of my family are very creative. And I have a sense that you are super creative. When I think of you as this incredible dynamo who's just throwing together all kinds of amazing creative thoughts. And I think of you as just a powerful creator, an artistic creator, and one who's a creator when it comes to language and poetry and writing. And so, yeah, I am very creative. And, I was thinking about this coming semester taking an art class. I was thinking about taking a drawing class. It was either that or Photoshop. I'm not sure which one. I wish I could take both. You know what? Maybe I will. It depends on how hardcore I am. Since both classes are 3 credit hours, and that would be 6 full credit hours this coming semester. It would be nice if I could do it. I guess I could give it a try. We'll see. I sign up for classes at Allen Hancock College and their website on, I think it's the 15th of November. So that's when I can register for classes. Okay, so next question. Question number 256. Have you ever sold a product or service? Okay, so I'm guessing that this means, have I ever been in business for myself selling products or services? Yeah, I did do that one time. I was doing it mostly online. I had an entrepreneurial spirit. In fact, it was about the time when you were born. You were just a child. I was doing my best to put together some internet store. And it was an internet electronics store. And I sort of contracted with a blind drop shipper. And essentially, a blind drop shipper is an organization that has a warehouse, and they will send electronic products under your name. It was an internet startup business I was trying to pull together, and unfortunately, it didn't work out very well. I didn't have very many sales, and I didn't make very much money. I also, at one time, had a blog called thinkhappythoughts.com, and I would make some money on that. I'd probably make about $35 a month from advertisements. on my blog. And the problem was that $35 a month was only enough to pay for the hosting fees for the website that I had to contract with to store the data and to sort of allow for downloads from various others who are reading the content on my blog. So I only was able to break even. So now, have I ever sold any other kind of product or service as an entrepreneur? I do my best to sell like used things on Craigslist and even like make a profit, but I've never been able to do that. I really have a hard time making money in terms of just buying and selling and trading goods and things like that, like on Craigslist or eBay or other websites. And somehow I managed to not lose a lot of money when I use those sites. I used to have a really strong entrepreneurial spirit, and I don't so much anymore. And the main reason is because I recognize how much time and energy being entrepreneurial takes. It's sort of like a black hole that sucks your time and energy away. And what's interesting is that entrepreneurship can be just completely self-absorbing, and it was for me. And it was kind of like to my detriment, unfortunately. I enjoyed the work very much, and I learned a lot. And I found that I did not reap as much benefit. I found there was a lot of lessons that I learned, a lot of characters that I developed, and I learned a lot of technical things about things like SEO, right? If I could even remember what SEO stands for, search engine optimization. I learned a lot about that, and I learned about AdWords, and I had a number of marketing pushes, a lot of marketing projects related to my website, and I really enjoyed it. But it was a time sink. It took a lot of time, and like I said, there wasn't really a strong exchange of value for time. So that's why I'm not doing the entrepreneur stuff so much anymore. All right, next question. Question number 257. Do you own a boat / vehicle? So, no, I don't own a boat, and I do own a vehicle. I own 2 cars, in fact, a minivan and a 4-door sedan. That's an easy question. Question number 258. Do you own a home? Yeah, I do. I own a condo. And by the way, I want to let you know that for the most part, I own this condo with the intent of passing down ownership to you one of these days. So I'm slowly trying to pay off the mortgage, and we'll see how it goes. I'll talk to you in about 10 or 15 years to let you know how it's going. So next question. Question number 259. Would you ever want to own any of these? A home, boat, or vehicle? Well, I do. Now, that question might be asking, do I ever want to own a boat? And, I've given a lot of thought to owning a boat, and I think I'll just rent boats or hang out with friends who own boats. I don't go to the ocean or to the lakes often enough to justify having a boat. And another thing, I don't think I derive enough pleasure from floating on a boat as, say, some people. I don't have a lot of, the time I've spent on a boat, I've enjoyed, but I don't find it, say, particularly enjoyable. You're sort of out on the water in the middle of nowhere, and, it's fascinating because it's a new environment, and there's a lot to enjoy about being on the water. The sun and the wind and the waves, and just the fun of being jostled around on the boat. But it's not necessarily for me. Believe it or not, in fact, for me, boating is kind of, I know it sounds odd, but it's somewhat of an isolating activity. It's it's a way of sort of getting out and away, right? And my personality, I tend to be more of an extrovert, and so I like to be around people. And so for me, being where the people are is important. And quite often, people, if I had to choose between going on the water or going on the land to finding people, well, the higher probability is on land. So I'm a land lover in that sense. And yeah, because that's where the people are. I go where the people are. And if there were a lot of people on the water, I would be going on the water. But I just haven't seen a lot of people on the water. And if there were events where a lot of people were on the water, I would be on the water. But for now, what I'm noticing is that people are on land, and I'm hanging out on land. Anything else? Would you ever want to own any of these homes? Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I do dream about owning a home, like a real home. Like particularly a home in Santa Barbara. But the cost of real estate in Santa Barbara is just through the roof. The median home price, I kid you not, I just read this morning, or was it last night? The median home price, and that is most homes that are valued in Santa Barbara are valued at this price that are on the market to be sold. $1.2 million. That is the median price of homes in Santa Barbara, $1.2 million. What that means is that homes don't get sold. There are very few homes that get sold for less than $1.2 million. All right, I just do not have the means to purchase a home that is that expensive. Goodness gracious. That is way above my price point. And, I do pretty well financially. It's just, there's no way I'd be able to pay for $1.2 million. I mean, yeah. So anyway, next question. Question number 260. Are you a fan of swords? No, not at all. In fact, swords, I don't care for swords. Question number 261. Are you an anime fan? Well, I enjoy some anime, and I've kind of liked the anime that I've watched, but I don't find it particularly compelling. So, I'm not a fan of anime, but I enjoy it just like anyone else. Sometimes the cartoons are interesting. Sometimes I can appreciate their artistry and the creativity of the stories, and sometimes they're quite beautiful. Anime, the people who are really into anime really love their anime, and I don't even pretend to be as into anime as some of those people. Question number 262. Do you like seafood? And the answer is yes, I love seafood. Seafood's great. Now, because I try to eat vegan, I don't eat seafood. I haven't eaten a lot in a long time. But I remember enjoying cod and trout and what other? Essentially fish, like salmon and tuna are quite good. Let's see, what else? There's some like the hard-shelled fish, crustaceans I'm not really into, like mussels or, I can enjoy them. Another one is clams. They're fine. And lobster. Lobster I've always was challenged with. I always found it hard to eat, and there was just not a lot of meat to eat in a lobster, so I never really found that particularly enjoyable. I thought the meat was, sweet and enjoyable, but I certainly don't care for it. I certainly don't eat any of that stuff these days. and I haven't for a long, long time, many years. Okay, next question. Question number 263. What is your favorite seafood dish? Well, I would guess my favorite seafood dish is probably just the most traditional seafood dish, and that is salmon. A nice salmon fillet. It's really hard to beat a salmon fillet. It's so enjoyable, particularly when it's cooked right. I particularly like the, sort of a crusty, particularly when the skin is crusty. I don't know. For me, it's kind of funny. I've been eating as a vegan for such a long time. Really, a lot of these memories are reminiscing. And when I talk about eating skin, it kind of grosses me out a little bit. I've been eating vegans for so long. It's like, I can't believe I just said that. I say that in my mind. Like, for goodness sake, I can't believe I used to eat that stuff. Anyway, yeah. I used to eat salmon and enjoy it. Okay, next question. Question number 263. Oh no, I just read that. Question number 264. What is your favorite musical instrument? I think my favorite is the guitar. I think what I like about the guitar is, first of all, it's got such a nice mellow sound. It's very versatile as a musical instrument, and you can sing while you play it. There are a lot of musical instruments that you cannot sing while you play. For example, any brass instrument, like a trumpet or trombone, you can't sing while you play. And, singing, I think, is a big part of making music. Certainly, if you're making music solo, harmonicas, you can't play. A lot of wind instruments, you just can't sing while you play, like saxophones and flutes, clarinets. So I don't think they could really ever be my favorite instrument, really precisely for that reason, just because I really enjoy the human voice singing. And so I like guitar. I also like piano. Those are my two favorite instruments to watch and listen to entertainers play music on. The guitar and the piano. I also like electronic music, so one of my favorite instruments are just the electronic instruments, right? I guess the electronic piano, synthesizers, right? Yeah, I appreciate that. I think those are fun for me. Fun because they can create music so quickly and easily. It's pretty amazing. Now, that's not to say I don't enjoy other musical instruments. There are a lot of musical instruments I enjoy very much. Like, for example, I really love violins. I love the stringed instruments, right? Particularly the cello and the bass. Oh my gosh, these are amazing instruments. I love the cello. Such a deep, resonating sound coming from cellos. I think of Yo-Yo Ma, who is a cello musician that I admire very much. His skill and his devotion to the cello. Let's see. I really like a lot of musical instruments. Really, the challenging question is, what musical instruments do I not care for? Now, that is interesting. Now, one musical instrument I do not particularly care for, but I recognize is essential to music, are the drums. Like a drum set, like snare drums and things like that. I'm not necessarily a really big fan of drums in general, because they tend to be loud and bothersome. Because I like the rhythmic, melodic sounds of guitars, pianos, stringed instruments, things like that. I love the gentle, lilting sounds. I like also the powerful sounds. But and now I also recognize, when I say that drums are not my favorite, I also recognize that they are essential to music. Keeping that beat, making that beat more powerful, that is essential to music. And it's also part of music that I enjoy the most, right? I'm just letting you know that in some instances, drums are not necessarily what I crave to listen to. And although I appreciate the artistry and intelligence that relates to the musicality that can emanate from drums. Yeah. Let's see, what other instruments am I not that crazy about? Well, I'm not so crazy about clarinets. Now, that's not to say I don't enjoy a good clarinet. I love listening to a well-performed clarinet sound, say in jazz music or in classical music. Here's the thing: I've heard clarinets up close and personal. Because I've got experience of many years inside like middle school and high school bands, mostly middle school bands. And let me tell you, the clarinets are squeaking. And they just I never thought of them as really being an amazing sounding instrument. That's not to say that you can't make a clarinet sound amazing, because I've heard some amazing clarinet soloists. Benny Goodman, in fact, was a clarinet soloist par excellence, who I really enjoy, and still enjoy to this day. But I recognize how challenging it is to have good music come out of a clarinet. It takes skill to produce that music. Other musical instruments that I just don't care for that much. I pretty much like all the other instruments. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Question number 265. Have you ever gone camping? Okay. So, yes, I have gone camping. I went camping a lot when I was a kid. My family went camping all the time. Camping was just what our family did. If you have a big family, 6 kids, going camping is a really cost-effective way to spend time, like a weekend together. You're out there in the forest, everybody's doing their thing, they're playing in the streams, people are climbing trees, making tree houses, they're using their imagination, creating pirate coves and looking for haunted houses and going down haunted trails. There's just so much to enjoy. Enjoying nature, enjoying being in the outdoors, looking at plants and rocks and fossils. Going camping is amazing. And so, yeah, I went camping a lot when I was a kid. And I did a lot of camping out of doors, in tents, and in trailers. And so I really feel fortunate to have that experience. And that would be neat. I would be interested in doing some more camping too. Right now I've got my minivan that I'm in, and I can camp out in that vehicle pretty easily. And so now I actually don't have a tent right now, which I think is kind of funny. I don't have a fabric tent. I used to have one many years ago, and I don't anymore. It's just easier. It makes more sense. It's more economical just to sleep in my minivan. And plus I'm protected from the elements by this steel and glass cage, right? Yeah, so yeah, I really enjoy camping. I need to do a little bit more camping. That's what I need to do. I need to camp a little bit more. And camping solo would probably be a good idea. I need to find time to get out into the wilderness, onto the trails. That's what I really need to do. I think that would be good for me to hang out, and I need to take some photographs too. Oh yeah, that'd be good. I have an interest in photography. And so going out, doing some camping and taking some photographs, now that sounds like some good time off. That's what I can do this coming winter break when I'm on vacation. Go do some camping. Oh, that's such a great idea. Thank you for helping me come up with that idea, Emily. All right. Next question. Question number 266. Have you ever relied on the yellow pages? Oh, yeah, all the time. These days, not at all. I do not. People, for some reason, they just lay that telephone book outside my door, and I just set it aside. I put it in the recycle bin almost immediately. It's just another book. I just don't use it. And I kind of wish they would ask my permission about whether they put the yellow pages on my doorstep or not. I think it's funny how they imagine that people want these yellow pages. And you know what? They have a lots of utility. Hey, I can appreciate the utility of the yellow pages. It used to be the only way you could get information about the world. But now there are many other ways to get information about the world. And it's true, yellow pages are still useful. What's interesting too is quite often they don't include white pages anymore. They used to include white pages, but I don't know what has happened to the white pages. The white pages have just completely vanished. You may not even know, Emily, what white pages are. White pages are essentially listings of people's names and their telephone numbers. Telephone numbers, used to be, and I probably are still common, public information. And people used to publish that information. And it was great to sort of be able to call anybody you wanted to call up. But these days, the social environment is just so different than it was when I was growing up. People just don't use the white pages anymore. And they don't use the yellow pages anymore. It's amazing how technology has changed. So I used to use the yellow pages, and no, I don't use them anymore. I use the internet now, right? Okay, next question. Question number 267. Do you still own VHS tapes? No, I don't. I almost don't own any DVDs, and I certainly don't own any Blu-ray DVDs. I don't buy movies anymore. I only stream them. And so, no, I don't own any VHS tapes because I don't own a VHS player. I haven't owned a VHS player for years. Question number 268. Do you still own music cassettes? And no, I don't. I just don't. It's old technology. It's like owning an 8-track tape, which is even older technology than cassettes. Question number 269. How many music albums do you own? Well, if I owned a music album, I would basically have them on, I guess, Amazon. I use the Amazon Music streaming service mostly. I don't know how many albums I own. I couldn't even give you a ballpark number. But the ballpark number is probably under 5. Well, maybe 10. Maybe it's 10. I would say that I probably own about 10 music albums. And these music albums, though, I own them as a collection of MP3s. So that's how I own them. And the kind of music that of the albums that I own, they're basically pop music. So, maybe Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift. I know, what can I say? I also like, what is her name? I'm saying the word a lot. And, it's basically, for me, my favorite music is sort of like this transition between pop music and EDM. That is electronic dance music. So this is the music that I listen to. It's music that I can move my body to because I enjoy dancing. And so that's the reasoning behind it. Next question. Question number 270. How many movies do you own? Okay, I can almost certainly say that I own 0 movies. Now that's not to say I do own some like home movies, right? I own home movies. I just don't own like regular blockbuster movies from Hollywood. I just don't have to because I stream all those movies. Question number 271. Do you ever talk to yourself? That is a funny question. I think the answer is probably yes. Question number 272. Have you ever donated anything? Oh yeah, I donate things all the time. I donate clothes to the Goodwill. I might end up donating my vehicle when I get done with it, this four-door sedan that I own. Yeah, I donate stuff all the time, and that's because I recognize that, I don't think I can make any money selling it, and also selling stuff can be kind of a hassle. So I end up giving away a lot of the stuff that I don't want to give, that I don't want to throw away. Clothes are a good example. Question number 273. Do you listen to radio stations? Sure I do. When I'm driving in the car, I turn on my radio and I'm listening to it as I'm driving. I'll either listen to the radio or I'll listen to an audiobook, or maybe I'll listen to a CD that I have. I own a number of CDs, not a lot. I only own like 3 or 4 CDs. But I'll listen to those on the radio, on my radio in the car. Do I listen to the radio otherwise? Sure, yeah. I'll listen to the radio when I'm just hanging around. I can use my Google voice assistant service to listen to any radio station that I want to. And, occasionally I will. Question number 274. What is your favorite and why? My favorite radio stations. Well, I think my favorite radio stations are like popular music. Regular stuff like Lady Gaga and, whatever happens to be in the popular field of music today. I also sometimes dabble in the rock stations like KZOZ, which is a rock station. They play like Van Halen, Scorpions. And, I don't spend a lot of time listening to those radio stations, but for me, it's about reminiscing about the past when heavy metal rock and rock music was basically in their heyday, like in the 1970s and 80s. And then for some reason, it just went away, like in the 90s and 2000s. Rock music just sort of vanished off the planet. And alternative music began to rise, and then rap and hip-hop music became popular and just exploded. I'm amazed how much rap, R&B, and hip-hop just sort of exploded onto the scene, say in the 90s and 2000s. And today it's super popular still. It's really popular. So my musical tastes are still in the pop music arena and EDM. Question number 275. Have you penned a love letter? Oh yeah, all the time. I pen love letters to you, right? Well, not so much love letters. But anyway, Emily, I hope that you are having a fantastic day today, the 7th of November, and I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to share some time together this Thanksgiving. That would be amazing. That would be wonderful. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. And I just want to remind you again that I love you very much. I love you just the way you are. And I'm excited to help support you as you turn into this amazing, miraculous, thundering woman that I know that you can become. I'm looking forward to just seeing you thrive and grow and, express yourself creatively and technically, as you sort of get your footing in this world and make your way through it. So I'm excited to see that, and that is an idea that inspires me every day. And I just want you to know that I love you just the way you are. There's no need to change. It's I accept whatever it is you are, whatever direction you're interested in going into, and I'm willing to support and provide energy to help you meet your goals, because I recognize that you are in the driver's seat. And anyway, I'm just here. I'm just a bundle of support for who it is you have an interest in becoming. And to me, that is exciting and amazing, and I just can't wait for it all unfold. So have a wonderful day, girl. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.